cam clip number 3. So we recall that bone is a connective tissue, and with connective tissue comes matrix. And matrix, remember, is intercellular, so it's the material between the cells of the tissue. And in bone matrix, we have collagen. So the two main fibers of connective tissue, if you recall, are elastin and collagen. So in bone matrix, we have collagen, so it's strong, not as stretchy, but quite strong, and inorganic salts, and that's calcium and phosphorus in this situation. So from our diet, we deposit our calcium and phosphorus in around it until it becomes a solid cell, an osteocyte, and it makes a very rigid, resistant to crushing material. Osteocytes. So there's 3 types of bone cells, and so whenever we look at medical terminology, we try to think it through. So osteo refers to bone, cytes refers to cell. So osteo and cytes. Now cytes is a mature bone cell. It's a cell that's done forming and just pretty happy where it is. Versus an osteoblast, which is a young mitotic cell. So when we think about that, it's able to divide, and it's bone forming. It's building. It builds matrix around it to build bone tissue. Versus osteoclast, because we store our calcium in our bones, we need to sometimes go in and get the calcium for functions within the body. So it is a bone eroding cell, or it digs up the calcium for us. Bone destroying cell is what it does, but that's pretty extreme by saying that. It doesn't destroy all the cells, just maybe a few. Okay, and then the other thing to think about here is yellow and red marrow. We made mention of this when we talked about the medullary cavity. So we're talking about adults here. So in the medullary cavity, that's the central core hollow area in long bones, we store yellow marrow, which is primarily fat. So if you make any soup, sometimes you use animal bones for that, and the marrow, you can see the marrow in the bone. It produces flavor to the soup. Red marrow we find in the epiphysis of our long bone, so in the ends. If you ever cook a chicken leg that hasn't been deboned, sometimes a little bit of blood comes out of the ends. That's where we store our red marrow, but mostly we would get it from our flat bones, so like our skull, hip, sternum, scapula, those flat bones. That's where our red marrow is. And the purpose of that is to make our blood cells. Which leads us to what are the names of our 3 blood cells. So our 3 blood cells are red blood cells, are shortened for RBC. Erythro refers to red. White blood cells, WBC. Leuco refers to white. And platelets, and thrombo refers to clot. So these are our clotting cells. So those are the 3 types of cells that we do make in our bone marrow all the time.